all agree that 2025 has been a long and hard year, both for the world in general and for a lot of us in our personal lives as well. Nonetheless, it's the season of giving now, and as we all kick back and unwind for the holidays, I thought I'd make some Christmas presents for my dear friends Oracle and Mooney. These two are a few of the awesomest people I've met. Their creativity and imagination and friendliness are qualities I admire and strive to match in my own endeavours as an artist and maker. As such,
Gee whiz! Enough with the sugary smells! Get on with the video!
You don't have many friends, do you? I wanted to give my friend some gifts that were relevant to their interests, so for Oracle I decided to get him a model car. He loves his Warhammer models, and one thing he's told me he wants to make is a fleet of retro future grimdark cars to fit in with the aesthetic of the grim darkness of the far future where there is only war.
No one thinks your first references are funny!
I wanted to find a small-scale vehicle that would provide a good base for being modified into a crazy grimdark automobile, and I ended up going for the 1:48 scale 1942 Ford US Army staff car, made by Tamiya. I think it has the right blend of timelessness and vintage to it, with fun lines and simple but cool styling. Let's see how that went, eh? Okay, this looks like a lot. We're not interested in all of this. Hold on. This is what we're actually interested in. This is what we're here for. I bought this entire kit just for this bit. Anyway, US Army staff car. It's actually a Ford, but presumably they aren't allowed to call it that for licensing reasons. It's got relatively simple structure. I've never actually built a Tamiya kit, so this will be fun. And a die-cast chassis. It says it's been weighted. I assume there's like a bit of metal to make it heavier, or maybe it's just made of metal. Damn, that is actual metal. It's fucking cold to the touch and everything. Whoa! Whoa, that's cool. Either way, it probably makes it nicer to build. Yeah, I got this second hand, so it's probably a bit cheaper, but nearly everything's in the box, and all of this stuff's still in the box. So, yeah, pretty good, all things considered. Let's get cracking. This is probably one of the simplest kits I've ever made, in part due to the fact that I was able to paint the entire thing before I'd even cut any of the parts away from the frames. I primed the parts, including the die-cast chassis, with Tamiya Fine Spray Primer. After that, I painted the interior of the car. Although this kit's instructions are for a military scheme, I wanted to go for a civilian one, which led to me basically winging the scheme based on what looked best. The floor of the interior is painted with a mix of Humbrol khaki and cream, with the seats painted in brown with a bit of antique bronze mixed in to give them a slightly leathery sheen. The wheels were painted in matte black, with the hubcaps and all the other metal fixtures painted in aluminium. For the main body of the car, I wanted something really rich and also something that would go down relatively easily, so I went for Citadel Blood Angels Red contrast paint. This paint was great as it flowed into all the recesses of the kit's very defined detail and gave it tonal variation without any actual effort on my part. I applied 2 coats normally, but that left some streaks in the paint, so I applied a 3rd coat in more of a blotchy manner to disguise them. The final finish looks a bit slapdash, but honestly it kind of works and I'm pretty happy with it. On the chassis I picked out the car's engine and fuel tank and Humbrol gunmetal for some extra detail, but with that done, the painting step was complete! With everything painted, I began cutting out the parts with my side cutters and putting them together. Due to the chassis being die-cast metal, I used super glue for all the parts that attach to that instead of plastic cement, which was a nice change of pace as there was no holding parts in place until they set. Everything slotted together perfectly. For the plastic parts, I used Tamiya Extra Thin. Before finishing them all, I needed to do some light weathering. After varnishing the chassis and shell, I thinned down some black enamel paint into a wash and dabbed it into the recesses and panel lines. Capillary action worked beautifully here, making them all have plenty of contrast in its details. Where there was excess, I used a Q-tip moistened with white spirit to clean it off before sealing in the wash with more varnish. The final step was painting the metal frame detail onto the clear window and headlight parts and inserting them into the shell. They went in pretty well, and with that I could screw the shell and the chassis together to complete the model. Unfortunately, this is where I found the only problem with this kit. I don't know why, but for some reason the back wheels of the car didn't fit inside the wheel arches, rubbing against them and denying them the ability to roll, which sucks. I don't know if it's an issue with the way I built the kit, perhaps I didn't push the wheels far enough onto the axles, but either way it's annoying. Oh well. Apart from that issue though, this kit was really good to make. It went together well, and being able to paint all of it on frame made it very simple to work on. I got it all done in a matter of days.
Americana.
Sure is. Although, of course, not many American civilians had a chance to own one of these in civilian livery, as shortly after production started, Ford pivoted entirely to producing military versions of the car to support the war efforts. Yeah! Useless knowledge, go! Now, moving on to the next thing, Mooney is a big fan of Portal. I mean, check out this Aperture Science World she made in VR chat. As such, I had the genius idea of making a tiny weighted storage cube like the ones you can interact with throughout the games. I started off by making a 3cm by 3cm cube out of a plasticard sheet. Because I wanted this to be a weighted cube, I filled it up with all of these tiny metal beads I usually use for weighing down the noses of my model planes. I was barely using any of them, so expending like half of them on this doesn't really matter.
So it's a weighted storage cube, but you can't actually store anything in it because you filled it up with lead shot and glue. Not your smartest idea, hon.
Well, you don't see anyone storing anything in the cubes in the game, so I'm not wrong. With the basic form of the cube constructed, I began making the corner pieces out of some thicker sheets of plasticard. To get the notches out of the corners of each piece, I snipped off the corners with my side cutters before carving them into smooth curves with my craft knife. This is absolutely not a safe method, and if I wasn't working against a deadline, I probably could have done it better, but the results were good enough considering the resources I had on hand. For the central circles, I cut out squares from some thinner plasticard sheets and further cut them into the shape of octagons before sanding down the edges to make them perfectly round. Well, reasonably perfectly round. I also cut out some tiny pieces for the edges of the cube, gluing them on accordingly. This process, whilst not great for my fingertips, was surprisingly fun and therapeutic. Having made the cube, I moved on to painting it. After giving every surface a thorough sanding, I primed the cube in Tamiya Fine Spray Primer, before applying a main coat of Humbrol No. 34 White. For the recessed areas I used No. 64 Light Grey mixed in with a little bit of white to lighten it a bit more. I also used the grey to do a bit of dry brushing on the edges of the cube. You get some paint onto a big brush before removing most of it on some newspaper or similar until it seems like nothing is coming off, before lightly brushing over the edges of the mould for some extra shading or highlighting. I used white paint to touch up bits which I had accidentally painted grey. I also used the white as a base for these lines of light that decorate the cube, which I went on to paint in Vallejo transparent red on the end of a toothpick. Following some extra adornments, I varnished the cube to protect the paint and finish my work. I'm very pleased with how my scratch-built storage cube turned out. It's pretty game accurate, sturdily made, and has some proper weight to it thanks to the stuff inside of it. It wasn't too hard to construct, and should make for the perfect paperweight for any porcelain-obsessed nerd. Well, if they even use paper anymore. To be fair, most people don't. Hey, at least it'll work as a desk ornament. Are you getting anyone anything for Christmas, Sally?
Nuh-uh.
Not even me?
I'm your secretary. I do your business affairs for you because your inept autistic ass couldn't do them yourself.
Okay, rude. Oh, that's a good point, actually. You have been paying our tax on all our business expenses, right?
Definitely.
Sally. Yellow?
Knock knock, motherfucker. It's the IRS. And we're on your ass, because you haven't been cashing in your checks. Now, if you don't pay your outstanding bill of 31,204 quid, plus interest, for all the materials you bought for your stupid model-making projects you did this year, then we're gonna kill you. That's right, we're gonna kill you. We're straight up going to kill you. Better pay up quickly, you stupid furry bitch.
Ah!
Going back to Oracle, he is a really big fan of the Fallout games. And one of the big things about Fallout he likes are all the weird retro future brands that exist within its world. In the post-apocalyptic America in which Fallout is set, drinks bottle caps are traded as currency, and I thought it would be cool to paint some bottle caps of my own to resemble the brands you can find in-game. Having collected a few caps from bottles of Coke and other drinks, I first sanded away the original finish and lightly weathered one of the caps. After a coat of primer, I painted two of the caps in Blood Angels red and one of them in black, though for one of the red ones I mixed in some lighter red from Humbrol to make the shade a bit lighter and less rich. Following this, I used a toothpick to carefully paint on the logos of the brands I sought to depict. Nuka Cola, its Nuka Dark Rum variant, and soft drinks brand you've got, Vim! I have quite shaky hands, and with only toothpicks and some very frayed brushes, it was hard to get the details perfect, but I pulled through and was very happy with my renditions of the logos in the end, particularly the Vim one. I added some silver paint on the ridges of the Nuka Dark cap to mimic scratches in the paint from my authentic weathering. Nonetheless, with all the caps painted, I varnished over them with a gloss coat to complete them. Like with my other builds in this video, I'm pretty proud with how these bottle caps turned out. They don't exactly have the fidelity of something printed professionally, but I hope that their homemade quality makes up for that. Sure, I could have just bought some dime a dozen caps off of Etsy or something, but hey, I'm an artist, my mind doesn't work like that. I always have to make everything more difficult for myself. Something funny I noticed putting all these trinkets together is I unintentionally kinda gave this ensemble an overarching theme of red. Red car, red lights on the cube, red bottle caps. That's fun. Either way, I'm happy with what I was able to make here. So yeah, those are a few of the gifts that I handcrafted for my friends this year. Not all of them, mind you, I'm not going to show absolutely everything I got for them. But I suppose that's really kind of it. Sorry I didn't really make as many videos this year as I did last year. I kind of got caught up doing other things and yeah, it's not great. And I don't know why, but for some reason I just can't help but feel like Christmas is still missing something. Oh yeah, I suppose. Hey Sally?
Huh?
Look, I'm not forgiving you for the tax situation, but it ain't right to leave you out in the cold at Christmas. It's the season of giving, and the least I can give you is a roof over your head and a warm fire to sit by, okay?
Yeah, we're cool.
Cool. I don't think there's a single person out there whose year has gone perfectly as planned. Goodness knows mine hasn't. But I hope that in our hearts we can all hold on to the spirit of giving and generosity this Christmas. Look out for your friends and colleagues and the people who might have it even worse than you. Even if you can't give them a physical gift, try to give them the gift of love and company if you can. It goes a long way, trust me. From me to you, I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Oh, and if you want to support the channel, you can do so by donating to me on Ko-fi, or if you want some cool art, commissioning me to do some art for you. Links to my commissions info is in the description. See you all later!